Hi, everyone. Welcome to week 10. We're about a third of, or two-thirds rather, of the way through, just a few more weeks left. I hope everyone had a great Halloween weekend, and yeah, we're getting back to it. So this week we're going to be talking about subject headings for this week mostly. Just a quick recap, actually, before we get started. So everything is graded and done up to this point. So that's great. Thank you, everybody, for everything that's been turned in. If you're missing something or you just need help with something, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to work with you on that. Office hours are Tuesday, Thursdays from 4 to 6. So I'll be online again tonight from 4 to 6. So yeah, feel free to jump on if you need to. Sorry, I'm trying to find something really quick. I just want to make sure I'm telling you all the correct information. So, sorry. So last week was week 9. Okay, we talked about, controlled names and all that good stuff, authority control for names. Perfect. I have put together your groups, which starts this week. I did the best I could assigning people together who are interested in the same topics if you filled out the survey. Nothing was like perfect, but I did my best. So your groups are in there. You do just need to check really quick and come up. There's a couple of questions you have to answer. Group name, just kind of to start your discussion, and then one person will just turn that into me. It's super easy. Just have to turn it in and you get full points for that. So keep that in mind. You do each have a discussion that's set up. So please feel free to use that to discuss with your group as you go along. Lastly, there is, for just kind of the overview really quickly here at the beginning, there is a extra credit assignment that it's totally optional if you'd like to do it or not, that I've put in there. It won't be quote unquote due if you would choose to do it. You have the rest of the semester to do it till December. So you just happen to have some time, you just feel like doing it, please feel free. But it is, so it's not due till December. Again, optional, totally if you want to do it or not. But it's basically just doing what we've been doing as far as our cataloging record. In library world, you're just gonna be doing, the basics, the author, 245 field, your description, added author, if that's available, all that good stuff. But I'm having you catalog your cell phone. So whatever cell phone you guys have, that's what I'm gonna be having you catalog. I'm more interested in how you think through the process rather than sort of what's the correct answer, right? So what would you consider to be the author of your phone? What's the name of it? Obviously the physical description of it, all that good stuff. So just think that through. That's kind of more of what I'm focusing on, is how you're thinking it through, not necessarily what the quote unquote correct answer is, if there is a correct answer out there. So again, that's for extra credit. There's nothing, you don't have to do it, no obligation. Just if you're interested in getting a few extra points, that's what you're going to be doing, is cataloging your cell phone. Remember, anything can be cataloged, mainly focusing on how you think through the issues. Go ahead and do that in library world. Again, just submit your control number, and and I'll look that over. Again, you have until December. If you decide to do that or not, feel free. If not, I understand. No big deal. So I do just want to talk about, so we're going to talk about just very briefly, the library. We're talking about subject headings in general, specifically LCSH we're talking about today, the Library of Congress subject headings. Let's kind of a brief overview. So subject headings are a controlled vocabulary. They're words or phrases that have been created by a group of people to say this is what kind of this is about, right? We're going to be talking about the LCSH this week. There's lots of different subject headings, lots of different ones. There's Sears, which is what mostly a lot of public libraries use. LCSH is what a lot of universities use, higher education. I'm actually the medical subject headings. MESH is what they're called. You'll see a lot of like specific to medical institutions, hospitals will use MESH in their libraries. Those are just kind of three off the top of my head. There's lots of different subject headings out there. They're controlled vocabulary. So they're very specific, sort of like the authors were controlled, right? The authorities are controlled. So you know this is what you put in for that author. Same thing. They're controlled. There's specific words or phrases that have been come up and they've been all put together. You can usually find them online. Actually, all of them I think you can find online. There are links to the LCSH in the module. If you want to look at any others, you can always just mesh. If you go to like Medline or PubMed, they're all there. Sears is out there. All the different ones are out there, but you can kind of look to see. So some of the differences, of course, would be like with LCSH, they're a little bit broader, right? They cover a lot of different content, a lot of different topics. Obviously, it's also different how they're arranged too, to look into that. But like your mesh subject headings would be very specific to the medical terms. So it gets really deep dive into different medical terms, whereas LCSH and Sears would be a broader, covering a lot of different things. But just keep that in mind. There used to be what was called, and kind of still is around, the rule of three, which you're going to hear a little bit about this week. And that was when you had the physical cards, the physical, cataloging cards that you look through the catalogs for. When you got your subject heading cards, you could see like everything in that catalog, or everything that we have in this library that has the subject heading of home repair, let's say. And you could see all the materials that have that specific subject heading. So in order to kind of make that work, books and materials were not given any more than 3 subject headings. That way you just knew, okay, that was sort of what you aimed for, was 3 subject headings per materials. That's what I was taught when I was in library school, and right afterwards, when I was cataloging, it was always, you just do 3, 3, 3, right? And we weren't even doing catalog, we were online at that point. It's still kind of used, it's not as hard and fast. So one of the questions in the discussion, is that really worthwhile? Could you have, as we're talking about like subject headings, you could have theoretically, right? Like, limited, because they're all online and you just click on it. Obviously it's limited by the material, depending on what they're about. But theoretically, right, you could have as many as you needed to explain that information, not just the top 3, fiction, literature, and let's say Civil War, right? If you had a book about Civil War fiction, for example, those might be the 3 that you give to the book. But theoretically, you could also do, it's about Lincoln and it's about zombies, right? Just keep that in mind. Or actually be vampires, right? Because Lincoln was vampires, Pride and Prejudice was zombies. Okay, I'm good. So, but right, so we're going to keep like adding these subject headings. So that's kind of the rule of 3. Came from having, again, most of the cataloging thoughts, even though they've sort of been redone, came from the subject headings. Came from the actual cards, the physical cards. So keep that in mind. But yeah, so subject heading, again, they're controlled vocabulary. They're given to it. They're very specific words and phrases that you can use. There's physical books, of course. There's like the LCSH, it mentions in there, they're red and they're big, and you can kind of go through and figure them out. Again, they're online too. You can find those. And again, it's linked to it. But yeah, so that's basically kind of, right, what subject headings are. They are controlled vocabulary given to an item that describe what that item is. The purpose of them, right, is so I can look at it and I can say, oh, I want all books on the Civil War. So I click on Civil War and it's going to bring up everything that we have in the catalog that's on Civil War, right? That's the purpose of them. so that you can find materials. They'll tell you two things, right? What's the book about and what else is about the same thing as this book, right? That's the purpose. Sort of like, that's also, right? So like when you're giving it a call number, you're giving it a call number that's, other items are like that, right? It's the same idea. So when you're browsing the shelf, you can also browse to see what's out there. So just keep that in mind. Again, we're looking at LCSH specifically, the Library of Congress subject headings. But I just want to make sure that I just kind of want to briefly go over sort of what they were, and that there are other ones that are out there. You're not going to use, so depending on where you work, you may use different subject headings. It won't necessarily be LCSH, but they're all sort of the same intent. And sometimes they can be very specific, like the MASH subject headings, for example, they're off of 16 branches that kind of go down. So you kind of figure that out as you're using them, like which branches are original. It's like 8 branches at the top and it goes down. Anyways, to 16 and they come off of there. So it just depends on what you're looking at and where you get a job, basically what you're using. But they are, so you will be putting those, they do go in the record. Your subject headings obviously are part of your cataloging record. So in addition to what we've done so far, obviously, it would have the call number, it would have the subject headings and all that good stuff as well. So let me know if you have any questions about call numbers, or not call numbers, subject headings. Any questions about subject headings this week? Group presentation, your group work will be starting. When it says presentations, I just had a thought. When it says presentations, it's just going to be, you're going to be submitting your slides as a group. You're not actually going to be doing the presentation. So keep that in mind. You'll be working on the slides together and then submitting those to be graded. There are 6 groups. So just keep that in mind as well. Again, most people filled out the survey, did my best in grouping you together on what topics you kind of were interested in. Since there was a lot of options, it was kind of pretty broad, but there were several people that, like ethics, for example, all the people, there are 4 people who chose ethics. They all broke in the ethics group. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, if you have any questions on the group presentation, on what to do this week, or anything we're doing, please let me know. And yeah, so let me know. You can either email me, or I am going to be online from 4 to 6 tonight as well as Thursday. So have a great week, and I hope everybody enjoys learning about subject headings and working in their groups. Bye.